Hello and welcome to another show. The day the music died refers to February 3rd, 1959, when an airplane crash killed Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper. But it goes far beyond that. It encompasses the entire original era of rock and roll music. By 1959, every major rock star of the 50s was gone. Today, we'll examine what happened to the original rock and roll icons. The rock and roll era began when disc jockeys such as Alan Freed of Cleveland, Ohio, Dewey Phillips of Memphis, Tennessee, and William Haas Allen of WLAC in Nashville, Tennessee, who created rock and roll radio by playing heart-driving rhythm and blues and raunchy blues records that introduced white suburban teenagers to a culture that sounded more exotic, thrilling, and illicit than anything they'd ever known. Music was about to get wild. The first major rock star was Bill Haley.
5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
Who, along with his Comets, redefined the era and gave us the first #1 rock and roll record with Rock Around the Clock. This is why I divide the various eras of rock and roll with the fourth year of each decade, such as 1954 to 1964 and 1964 to 1974, and so on. So who burst on the scene in 1954? Bill Haley and his Comets had been charting for a couple of years, but as we already saw, the first #1 rock and roll song was Rock Around the Clock on Billboard's Hot 100.
That's all right, mama, anyway do. I want you to bring along my rocking shoes, 'cause tonight I'm going to rock away on the blues. I heard the news, there's good rocking tonight.
Elvis Presley in 1954 was starting out. That's All Right Mama. Sam Phillips discovered him, but during the first couple of years he was only a regional sensation, with Good Rockin' Tonight only making it to number 74 on the Hot 100. Presley was wild with his gyrating hips, so he was nicknamed Elvis the Pelvis by the media. This caused a significant uproar, with parent groups calling for him to be censored. At the time, he was only shown from the waist up on the Ed Sullivan Show. He would be labeled the king of rock and roll, with most of his hits from 1956 to 1958 reaching #1 on the charts.
Everybody in old South Rock was dancing to the jailhouse rock. You never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. You ain't nothing but a hound dog crying all the time.
Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel, Teddy Bear, Jailhouse Rock, and so many more. But there was no stopping rock and roll.
Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Johnny, be good. My heart beating rhythm and my soul keep singing the blues. I roll over Beethoven, tell Tchaikovsky the news.
In 1955, Chuck Berry, the father of rock and roll, burst on the scene. With his duck walk, and audiences went wild. He refined and developed rhythm and blues into the major elements that made rock and roll distinctive, with songs such as Maybelline, Roll Over Beethoven, Rock and Roll Music, and Johnny Be Good. He was influenced by the guitar riffs and showmanship techniques of T-Bone Walker. Berry began performing with the Johnny Johnson Trio. His break came when he traveled to Chicago in May 1955 and met Muddy Waters, who suggested he contact Leonard Chess of Chess Records.
Well, long tall Sally, she built a piece of guy. Everything that Uncle John need, oh baby.
Mama, Papa told me, son, you better watch yourself. If the new Mama's mama had to watch my Papa self. Good golly, Miss Mama.
Right on Berry's heels came Little Richard. He would be described as the architect of rock and roll, characterized by frenetic piano playing, pounding backbeat, powerful, raspy vocals laid the foundation for rock and roll. Richard's innovative, emotive vocalizations and up-tempo rhythmic music played a vital role in forming other popular music genres, including soul and funk. He influenced singers and musicians across musical genres, from rock to hip-hop. His music helped shape rhythm and blues for generations. He gave us classics like Tutti Frutti, Long Tall Sally, and Good Golly Miss Molly.
My Peggy Sue. Oh, well, I love you, galleys. I love you, Peggy Sue. Well,
'65 brought us many great artists. Buddy Holly, after opening for Elvis Presley as part of the Louisiana Hayride, had a habit of seeking out local bands to add to the show. Holly decided to pursue a music career. Subsequently, he played with Presley 3 times that year, and his band's style shifted from country and western to rock and roll. In October of that year, when Holly opened for Bill Haley and his Comets, he was spotted by Nashville scout Eddie Crandall, who helped him get a contract with Decca Records. His legacy includes That'll Be the Day, Peggy Sue, and Little Boy.
Ain't that a shame? You're the one to blame. I found my thrill on Liberty Hill.
Fats Domino was another pioneer of the rock era. He sold over 65 million records. He attributes his distinctive rolling piano style to Lloyd Price's Loudy Miss Cloudy and scored a string of mainstream hits, including Ain't That a Shame, Blueberry Hill, and I'm Walking.
You come along and move me, honey. In my mind, love is fine. Good and little ridge and whip balls of fire. Move it, I ain't faking. Whole lot of shaking going on.
Jerry Lee Lewis burst on the scene. Nicknamed the Killer, he was described as rock and roll's first great wild man. He was also wild and crazy in concert. Lewis made his first recordings in 1952 at Cosimo Mathis's J&M studio in New Orleans, and early 1956 at Sun Records in Memphis. He's giving us some straight-up rockers like Whole Lot of Shakin' Going On, Breathless, and Great Balls of Fire. Rock and roll got wilder with each new star. There were plenty of one-hit wonders and flashes in the pans, including Bo Diddley, Carl Perkins, Danny and the Juniors. Only rock's first era did die almost as soon as it began, and every major rock star from the 50s was gone. We know about the plane crash that tragically killed Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper. What about the rest of the era's great musicians? What caused them to fall off the charts? First artists to fade were Bill Haley and the Comets. Their last top 10 hit, See You Later, Alligator.
What I heard her say, see you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile.
Even though they were considered wild initially, they couldn't compete with the rising stars who were younger and flashier. Then on March 4th, 1958, Elvis Presley was drafted into the Army, so he disappeared from the scene for the rest of the decade. His songs still reached the top 10, but not as many made it to number 1 anymore. And when he returned, he wasn't the same hip-shaking King Creole he had been. His music changed to a more adult style. Chuck Berry's star began to wane by 1958, with his last top 10 hit being the Christmas novelty song Run Rudolph Run. He was making a comeback in 1962 with no particular place to go, but then he wound up in jail through a scandal. He was arrested under the Mann Act after allegations that he had intercourse with a 14-year-old Apache waitress, Janice Escalante, whom he had transported across state lines to work as a hat check girl at his club. In October 1957, Little Richard embarked on a package tour in Australia with Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran. In the middle of the tour, he shocked the public by announcing he was following a life in the ministry. In early 1958, Specialty released his second album, Little Richard, which did not chart. During Fats Domino's career, 4 significant riots occurred at his concerts, partly because of integration, according to his biographer Rick Coleman, but also the fact that they were having alcohol at these shows. So they were mixing alcohol, dancing, and the races together for the first time in many of these places. In August 1957, he was banned from performing at Griffith Stadium in Washington, D.C. due to security concerns raised by City Commissioner Robert McLaughlin.
Well, I don't answer those questions, sir. My manager might knock my head off or something.
Jerry Lee Lewis's turbulent personal life was hidden from the public until a May 1958 British tour, during which Ray Berry, a news agency reporter at London's Heathrow Airport, who was the only journalist present, learned about Lewis's third wife, Myra Gerald Brown. She is Lewis's first cousin, once removed, and was 13 years old when they married, though Lewis, who was 22 years old at the time, claimed that she was 15. The publicity caused an uproar, and the tour was canceled after only 3 concerts.
Hey, everybody's hopping, everybody's bopping at the high school hop. Bopping at the high school hop.
This current hit song at the time, High School Confidential, was climbing the charts. The news broke. After that, it would stall at number 21. That means that by 1959, the first era of rock and roll was over. A series of deaths, scandals, and unforeseen circumstances destroyed the era.
Turn me loose, I say. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Come on, baby, let's do the twist.
Oh, there were a few one-hit wonders and flashes in the pan, such as Fabian and Chubby Checker, but the only artists charting regularly were the crooners and the balladeers, such as Paul Anka, Bobby Vinton, and Frankie Avalon. Was rock and roll dead? It would appear so, at least until 1964, the British invasion. But that's a topic for another video. That was our show for today. Did you know that rock and roll died so suddenly? Did you know that all the major rock performers of the 1950s, one by one, fell off the charts, either by death, scandal, or unforeseen circumstances? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And while you're at it, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel, click the bell to stay informed, and check out the Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise, also in the comments section. Until next time, this is Kevin Given saying, live long and prosper, may the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.